Pace is dropped on a Freestyle Friday as I get my caffeine ready. I don't know about you. Welcome to Soccer's Morning Show. Soccer down here. John here, you there. Maddie and Jason are at practice this morning as I put things on the floor so they don't spill. So it's me and you guys this morning. We get to roll through everything, and we'll see if Jarrett can escape the real world for a little bit and get you ready for the weekend. We've got to go through all of the matchups. We've got to go through all of the juice boxes, all of the previews. We've got stuff domestically, internationally. We've got stuff to talk about today that's going on across the planet, whatever's on your mind. I know we've got to talk about Atlanta United, Chicago Fire. That's got to be on everybody's mind. Morning, Dell. Morning, D. Graham. And morning, Alex. And Eddie Howe addressed the Sandro Tonali situation. I know that at this point of the show, this is where Alex and Maddie, whose ears are probably burning because of that particular comment, just sit there and go, no, 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 no. Go to the next story. So we got stuff overseas. We've got stuff domestically. We've got all the weekend previews. We've got a lot of things to get into and whatever's on your mind this morning. So when it comes to Atlanta United, Chicago Fire, expectations, what are you looking for? Who's in the spot shadow? When it comes to what you're staring at when it comes to this matchup, concerns, the good, the bad, the different, the ugly. As our former sports anchor here in town, Chuck Dowdle used to say, it's about the good old GBU. So whatever's on the GBU for you this morning, and it doesn't necessarily have to be about Atlanta United. It can be about Atlanta United, Chicago Fire. Could be about any other MLS matchup. Could be about anything overseas. Premier League kicks back in, and we got news in the Premier League as well about who is not going to the Premier League apparently next season. So all of this is on the table, and we'll get you set for the day as well. Morning Kefsi. Dell's Clemson Tigers beat Arizona. I will say this. I legitimately will say this. And I'm going to be admitting this full bore. I didn't fill out a bracket this year. Did not fill out a bracket. Because, frankly, running around so much, the time frame completely slipped past. I would still have UConn and maybe Houston, and that might be about it. I know a lot of folks had North Carolina. That ended. The boss was not happy about that particular result because of North Carolina having a lead and losing it to, as it is referred to in this household, especially because of the drinkware that we have on display most of the time. It is all about UAT. So whatever is on. So, yeah, she's hot about that. But, yeah, I didn't fill out a bracket this year. Did not fill out a bracket. So, I've been watching. It's been a fun tournament to watch. Like I said, traditionally what I do, and my filling out of a bracket, the way that I do it is I go from the central point. I go from the championship game out. I used to be awful at doing brackets because what I would do is I would start from the outside and I would go in. And because of thinking that way, I would have a lot of issues. And then it would be just completely and totally blown up. And then I would finish last. And then what I started doing was I ended up filling out with my championship game and then going out. And I finished third, second, and first in my station bracket for those 3 consecutive years. So finished in the money for 3 straight years. And I'm like, okay, this is how I do it from now on. But yeah, this year I did not fill out a bracket. So I've been kind of watching, but like I said, because we've been so busy here at SDH, haven't had the chance really to sit down and watch games. Last night we were in Fayetteville for Stars Mill and McIntosh. And so driving home, you missed the first game, and then the second game is on, and it ends about 12:45, and there's no way I was going to last until then. But, yeah, didn't fill out a bracket this year. So may your bracket still be in existence. I know some folks and some friends of mine had their bracket get completely blown up with North Carolina losing. So, but, yeah, didn't fill out a bracket this year. So that's not opening kickoff, but that's story time with John. So that's the first story time with John anyway on the day. Yeah, didn't fill out a bracket. Let's see. Who have I missed this morning? Abby, welcome in. And Abby, as a reminder, once again, I'm bringing your 2 scarves and your Atlanta United scarf and the Maddie one-sheeter to the tailgate on Sunday. So that is my reminder to me to remind me about you. So there you go. Opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. And this is the Abby procured QR code for those of you who are watching on our YouTube channel, on Twitch, or on the 280 character app. You click on that QR code, and what you do is you go to Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10%, reinvest it into youth games, youth initiatives, stuff that they have earmarked at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. And this is a kind of a reminder. If you missed out on last night, we have one more match day this week. 5:30 and 7:30 on the SDH Games of the Week presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente on the high school side. Got about 3 weeks left in the high school season, regular season, before we get into the playoffs at the tail end of April. And last night, we were at Panther Stadium on the campus of Stars Mill High School for, as folks told me in Fayette County, clean old-fashioned hate. And it lived up to it on both the boys and the girls side. I mean, you have folks that play each other in club and with each other in club, but they're going up against each other now in 2 separate classifications with McIntosh and Stars Mill. And it used to be McIntosh, Stars Mill, Whitewater, and somebody else in the days when they were all in the same class. So last night, McIntosh went in, got the daily double, and knocked off Stars Mill in the rivalry game. But if you have not had the chance, on the second half of the boys' match, we had a very, very, very special color commentator. And it was fun to see this particular individual be a part of the broadcast last night. And it was Will Turpin. And for those that may not know, he is the bassist for Collective Soul. And he and Jason go back for quite a while with music in the Southern Crescent in various forms. But as a father, he was looking at one of the back 4 for Stars Mill last night, and we had Will in the booth with Jason starting at the half, and he actually stayed through the entire second half. And to be able to hear Jason and Will was hilarious. I would recommend if you've got some time, go to our Mixler site, soccerdownhere.mixler.com, and I did spell it correctly this early in the morning. Good for me. So go there and you can get the archive for all of our games. If you miss a game live, that's the live site, but it's also our archive. So you can go back and listen to matches. So if you missed out on the boys' match last night between Stars Mill and McIntosh, we had a very special color commentator last night. And to hear him balancing through and weaving through the rivalry and being a dad and looking at game state and talking with Jason, it was a hoot. So second half, actually starting at halftime. So go into our Mixler site, dial up the boys match, started at halftime, and then you get to listen to the half. You get to listen to the second half with a father and a musician and someone who's well known in the music community. So that is your public service announcement for the day for the missed broadcast that is there. So you end up with that. So as you end up with great stories there from yesterday and today, 5:30 and 7:30. We are in Ellijay, first time ever, and it is White County and Gilmer. So we're in the mountains. Jason and I will be up there. Come on a little before 5:30, and so it's 5:30 and 7:30 in Ellijay today. We've been promised barbecue by the coaches at Gilmer, and you know me and barbecue, especially when it is localized barbecue places. I will report back, obviously, and I probably will end up bringing some back to Office HD by the time we're done because I know the boss is going to want some too. So 5:30, 7:30 today, match 4 in a 5-day match week for us at SDH. So it's been a fun week. We've been running around all over the place. It was River Ridge and Sequoia on Tuesday. It was, where were we on Wednesday? It all runs together now. Forsyth Central in Denmark. I was there for that on Wednesday. Last night was Stars Mill and McIntosh, and today it is White County at Gilmer, 5:30 and 7:30 on the network. And you can listen to it live right here, soccerdownhere.mixler.com. And you can also listen to all of our archived matches right there, soccerdownhere.mixler.com. So interesting color commentator last night, Will Turpin, as a part of our high school coverage. So very, very cool stuff there with Will and with Jason. So it was fun last night to be able to see that and be a part of a rivalry and see it through a bit of a different prism. So very, very cool stuff there. Also on the board, once again, remember. And you'll see me, you'll see the Hoff on Sunday. So it is a 3:45 kick, I believe. Might even be 3:55, but they're going to open the gates as normal, 2:00 to get everybody inside. And there's a vicious rumor, maybe, that the roof might actually be open. So the Venus flytrap might actually let the sunshine in. So we'll see about that. I've heard that is a possibility. So we'll keep that in mind. So this morning, once again, we're going through all the matches. We're going through everything in Major League Soccer. We're going through Atlanta United and Chicago Fire. I want to know what's on your mind when it comes to Atlanta United, Chicago Fire. We got some sound from our friends at Apple TV and our buddy Mo Adu discussing Yorgos Giacomakis. And we'll go through Atlanta United once again. We'll go through hour number 2, the weekend whip around, patent pending, trademark coming sooner, hopefully rather than later. We'll go through all the divisions because we got stuff in USL Championship. We got stuff in League One. We got stuff overseas to get into as well. And Atlanta United, Chicago Fire. Once again, we got some sound coming up in just a little bit to discuss that matchup. And if you missed it, this is a cross-promotional plug. If you missed the conversation that our buddies at Scarves and Spikes, Tyler Pilgrim, had with Kale and Kyle, I would recommend for the visual alone to go check it out and dial it up on their YouTube channel. For the visual alone, having Kale and Kyle where she was answering questions, full props to Kale and Kyle for doing what she did and she was running a little behind and she stuck to her appointment. And she stuck to multiple appointments. That's all I'm going to say. If you haven't seen it, go see it. Scarves and Spikes and our buddy Tyler and the guys over there and Kale and Kyle, they all caught up this week getting ready for everything, what she thinks about Atlanta so far, what she thinks about going forward. But, yes, the locales and the visuals alone are definitely worth the price of admission when it comes to that. Once again, remember, as we're doing some house cleaning here in the first little bit of the show, that's the Marshall Islands scarf. Our buddy Hudson out in Colorado reached out to me last night, and he's like, am I too late? No, you're not too late. And the reason I say you're not too late is because, frankly, I think this is going to be a legacy project for us. We're going to have this as long as the Marshall Islands folks will let us have it and help them out in this way. We might even come up with more scarves down the line in years to come. But that's the Marshall Islands scarf. You get to help out the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation. Do that there. And you can Venmo me, email me, and we'll figure out payments and things like that. It's $32. And it helps out the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation. If you go through the website and you want them to mail it to you or them to figure out a way for me to mail it to you, we can do that. If you want the Abstermobile to take it to you, you can. 32. If you want it shipped, it's probably another $5. So 32 and 5 if you want it shipped. And that helps out the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation build their organization and all of their infrastructure from scratch. It helps out. You probably bought the jersey. You probably bought the bucket hat. Now it's time to pick up the scarf. And this was done with their assistance and their permission. And so we came up with this design, and you can pick it up. I've got them here in the office. So if you ever need any other scarves or anything like that when it comes to the Marshall Islands, I got them. So reach out to me, and we can get it all figured out at 32 to start. If you want Abby to come and see you, 32 plus 5 if you want it mailed. So there you go. That is the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation scarf helping them out this morning. All right, so let me go through the morning kickoff, and let me see if there's anybody that I forgot in the morning howdy-do's. Let's see. Yeah, KFC talking about North Carolina and lead and pop in 3 under 2 minutes. You run the risk of losing. And legitimately, KFC, when I saw that, when I saw people talking about UNC, I initially thought, Unc? Well, whose uncle did something? And it took me a second. Oh, it's about UNC. That's how detached I am from the tournament this year. Is that when I see UNC, I'm thinking, Unc? Who's uncle? And it's like, bad call, Unc. Who's uncle? but literally, it took me a couple of seconds to sit there and go, oh, North Carolina, I get it now. And Abby, much like the boss, wanted Alabama to lose. UNC got away from their game plan, according to Dell. Let's see. Story time. Oh, Alex, look out. Speaking of story time with John, we haven't had a good parking deck story from John in ages. Pandemic 3-hour shows hit different. I'm trying to think of anything recently that. Oh well, I can give you another good story time with John, and it has to do with electrical outlets. We'll do that and coming up probably an hour number 2 if you want me to do that. Remind me, story time with John and electrical outlets. We could do that. That's definitely there. Pars. Morning, by the way. Pars, anyone have experience on bringing player cards into the stadium? I pulled Almada and don't want to have to walk it back to the car this weekend. Do not know. I do not know. You mean like player cards like the 2.5 by 3.5s that we get at the store? Or like the big Nintendo ones where you have like the big ones with the benefits and the scores, those kinds of things. Let me know what you're talking about there and let everybody else know, because I'm thinking default. When I think player card, I'm thinking the 2.5 by 3.5. I'm thinking like our buddy Paul LaPalma here from 1954. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at when I'm thinking about that. 4Card, good morning. And so let's see. Oh, so Abby. Sources 3:55 kickoff. The know before you go says check roof status. So it is the super hyper mega big FOX pregame show that gets it to 3:55. So that means that the network can carry their over-the-air affiliate right up to the 6 o'clock news. So that's what they're doing. KFC, open roof might be nice. Surely the pollen rain doesn't go that high. Yeah, me and electrical. Yeah, it was dangerous to a degree. KFC, the player card. Oi, KFC, my power is on. No way he did the work this week. And 4Card's going to be on the field with the Atlanta and Children's Healthcare of Atlanta flags. Nicely done. Dell, I already used my wild card a couple weeks ago when there was a bye week or something, and most of the heavyweights were gone. I used my bye week then. And traditionally, I'll finish the season like upper quarter of the planet. I've got to look at my roster, and I've also got to look at MLS fantasy. Don't forget, by the way, that reminds me. It seems like this morning we're just kind of rocking through a lot of the odds and ends here. Jason Wright Agency, join the Fantasy League if you have not joined the Fantasy League. Jason Wright with a W, AGEN on Twitter, and it is pinned on his 280 character app. If you want to join the Fantasy League, you can go and you can get that all squared away. Jason Wright Agency on the Facebook, and it is Jason Wright with a WAGEN on Twitter. And he's got his pinned tweet is the entry to get into the Fantasy League. And so apparently for some reason I ended up 5th in points scored last week. I don't know how that happened, but join the Fantasy League. If you haven't joined the Fantasy League, Denny Buwanga really helped me out last week. I captained him, and I ended up beating Ropes. So that was the only reason that happened, is because I captained Denny Buwanga. So Dell trying to catch up to us in Fantasy League. Well, Dell, if you play me, you probably can catch up in fantasy. News from Manchester United. It looks like both Kyle Walker and John Stones might be out at the back. So Pep Guardiola for the matchup against Arsenal this week might have to be a little imaginative at the back. And so we'll see what the plan is. Might have Rodri and some reinforcements and maybe some youngins. So we'll see what happens there. Like I said, we'll go through all of the news and we'll get ready for all that stuff in hour number 2. There are stories to talk about. Like I said, previews all across the board. And we'll get you ready for Atlanta United and Chicago. We'll talk through that as well. Yes, City. Thank you. Yes, City. Citeh. City. So, yeah. Yes, I do mean City, not Manchester United. Although, Dell, your point that was made a couple days ago that we're finally circling back to now that we're getting ready for matches to be played. And by the way, the 3D for Drew Dickinson out later this morning, early this afternoon. Drew lamented on the international break last week. Went for 13 minutes. He was that hacked off about it. So you'll get the 3D, his thoughts on the weekend, Manchester United, his beloved United, and the rest of what else is on his mind going into the weekend. So the 3D will be coming out later today. So it will be interesting to see what Pep Guardiola does. And if they're going to rebuild Old Trafford, the possibility of them having to play at the Etihad, would they do that? Would they play it? Because you know that the blue team would charge the red team a fair penny. It would be a fair pence for them to be playing in that stadium. And then you'd have to, but then would you do the bunting? Would you have them hire you see, now the cricket ground would make more sense because you don't have to go to the Etihad. You don't have to bring bunting. You don't have to treat it like you did a couple of years ago where all you have is like banners and things, because that stadium with the sky blue seats having to entertain individuals who are dressed in red. And you know that some folks, their first inclination would be to sit there and try and figure out how do we turn this into a trash dump? How do we show our uh, lack of support for the blue team as we sit here representing the red team? You know that some folks would sit there and they'd try to, key seats and set things on fire and think, that there's going to be that random individual that thinks that's going to be a good idea. I think the cricket ground, yeah, see, there you go, Dell. Dell right on top of it. Dell's like, we can bring red Sharpies and just color the seats red. That might be the only way, but you'd have to bring a lot of Sharpies because I would imagine having to go and color the seats in red Sharpie would be, yeah, that'd take a lot of effort. But no, I think the cricket ground is probably the safer thing to do. The safer thing to do. D. Graham, he's got his weekend all figured out. He's going to be exhausted by the time United kick off at 3:55 on Sunday. Arsenal's women's playing in the Continental Cup final, then the men playing City before that's even over. That sounds like a multi-screen experience for D. Graham this weekend. So you have one started. You got to fire up a second television or a second device, as we say these days, I guess. And one's not ending. You got to watch the other one. And then the emotional exhaustion of going through those two and then getting ready for Atlanta United and Chicago Fire. We'll go through the officiating assignments when we get into the previews of all of the activity as well. So it will be it'll be very, very interesting. It's all good. So we might be starting things a little early. Just got a note from Greg Garza. He's got meetings, and Parkey might be traveling to catch up with Messi and friends and a couple of dudes playing. So, and he wishes everyone a happy Easter, by the way. So tell you what, we're going to go ahead and start previews because, like I said, I was kind of waiting to see if our friends from Beyond Goals were going to be with us and all of that. Yeah, Del, we talked about Kevin Sullivan yesterday. Don't know the price tag, but a 14-year-old getting the biggest homegrown deal in Major League Soccer. Not a surprise that Manchester City would want to throw that kind of money around because they do. They're always chasing after all of the younger talent anyway, 16, 17-year-olds. And then when it turns to 18, then they can play them in the Premier League. But Kevin Sullivan at 14. This is what I'm anticipating, some manner, way, shape, or form. Apparently right now, Kevin Sullivan is going to be with Philadelphia for the foreseeable future. There's a part of me that says that may come to a close at some point. No, I don't. And this is the point that I was gonna. This was where I was going with this, Del. I don't think he's going to be playing for the Union for 4 years. I don't think he's going to be a part of that system. I anticipate there will be a moment in time where Manchester City is going to sit there and go, we got to pull the ripcord on this. We need him as a part of CFG, City Football Group. And he will end up, mark my words, he will end up going somewhere in the system. Girona, I think Loeffel was part of the discussion, a second division club in Belgium that's a part of the City Football Group. What do you want to bet that is a part of this growth that Kevin Sullivan has when he gets into CFG and he goes out the door and goes overseas, that NYCFC sits there and goes, hello, and he ends up at NYCFC before he turns 18? What do you want to bet that at some point everything circles back to Major League Soccer? Kevin Sullivan goes overseas, plays in a second division club or so on. Then NYCFC needs some help. They knock on the door, and City Football Group transfers Kevin Sullivan from Loeffel to NYCFC. Color me shocked. And Dell says he's got a German passport, but because of Brexit, he can't go to England until the age of 18. So that's why I think he goes to like Loeffel in Belgium or something. And eventually we'll circle back. I think there's going to be some NYCFC City Football Group blue in his future. Not next year, but the next couple of years. So we'll see. Yeah, Kefsey, story's a little nuts. Skipping the senior year of high school is not something I'm accustomed to hearing. Bryce Harper did that. Bryce Harper, he was going to be the number 1 draft pick. Didn't want to go to, he wasn't going to college. He wasn't draft eligible age-wise. And so he played independent ball, if I remember correctly. So that got him early on, no college, got him draftable, got him some reps, and he was off and running. So, not the wildest thing in the world from different sports, but we ended up getting to see that. Dell is like from D. Graham, think it's foolish. We know the best prospect at that age doesn't always meet expectations. Yeah. And so, but once again, this is when you got, I know Freddie Adu, we can get into that story as well. Cautionary tales, they exist all over the place. But I think having Kevin Sullivan here in the States, I think that helps out early on. And as he continues to grow and mature, not just as a footballer, but first and foremost as a young man, I think being close to home, being close to his brother, being there with Quinn, being the older brother's shoulder, I think that helps him out in the short term. I think that when you get to that moment where we see it with footballers all around the planet, you're 16, you're 17, bang, you're ready to go. Then they think you're ready to go, and then you go chase new frontiers, and then you continue to build and grow and go. So we'll see. But I still think there's somewhere, not anytime soon, but I still think that Kevin Sullivan goes overseas, then circles back and ends up in an NYCFC uniform at some point before he turns 18. That's just me. Yeah. I mean, when you get the kind of attention that you're getting at 14, you just want to make sure that the guidance from all aspects is correct and that the pressure isn't what it is or what it could be more than anything else. Like I said, we always have used Freddie Adu as a cautionary tale for someone that young to be thrust into the spotlight that soon. You're just hoping more than anything that it's just, let him develop, and not just as a footballer. Let him develop as a young man. And if he ends up being mature beyond his years, okay, fine. But let him develop, let him grow. Let him have those teenager moments if he wishes to have those teenager moments. And then that's perfectly fine. But, just 14, I know it's a cautionary tale. And, as I sit here and, like I said, we all have those memories and those folks that stick in your head of these kinds of things. So, 14 years old, but I still think that he circles back to NYCFC. So that's just me. All right. So weekend preview. Let's get into the weekend whip around a little early. And we'll get into news of the AM and all this kind of stuff. But now that we are in the mindset of getting ready for the weekend. All right. I want to know what's on your mind. And across the board, doesn't matter what time zone we're talking, doesn't matter what league we're talking about. I know that we're going to be discussing everything in all the different divisions. So, quoting our buddy Cody Rhodes.
So, what do you guys want to talk about?
Literally, whatever you want to talk about, it's all on the line. The Twos have a 3-week time period off in MLS Next Pro, so they get to watch everybody else. I know that you want to have that momentum coming off of the big win over Carolina Core this past weekend, but you got to wait. And it's going to be until the 16th, I believe, and it's going to be a night game. I think it's Monday night, the 16th, when they play Philadelphia Union 2 here at the Fraction, 5 of their first 6 at home in the schedule. But because of scheduling quirks, 3 weeks off. It was supposed to have a match last night with Crown Legacy. That got pushed down the schedule. And the match with Philadelphia Union 2 got moved back a day because the first teams are playing 3 o'clock Sunday afternoon, the 15th, and that means that they wanted to slide that further down the board. So whatever is on your mind doesn't matter. Like I said, doesn't matter what team we're talking about, all that kind of stuff. But with you still haven't gotten your tickets. Yikes. All right. So Atlanta United and Chicago Fire. When it comes to the juice boxes on this one, we talked about it yesterday with Nico. We knew what the initial numbers were. And Atlanta was, favored at home, not necessarily a surprise. A minus 133, I think, was the number yesterday. Let's see if the number has changed, if it has been altered in any way. And the answer is not really. Our friends at Odds Portal, they do a composite, and they take like anywhere from 13 to 18 different juice box purveyors, and take an average. Atlanta United favored at a minus 132, and the draw is a plus 304. Chicago Fire is a plus 315. Atlanta's won 6 in Atlanta over Chicago, scored 17 goals in that process. So you've seen some 3s and some 4s from Atlanta United going up against Chicago Fire in the past. I think that you will still see goals on Sunday afternoon with everybody back. We do have some questions that will come up here in just a little bit as we process everything. But our friends over at This is MLS and Apple TV discussed Yorgos Giacomakis and someone who knows what Giacomakis is capable of on the pitch. Mo Adu addressed it this way about Giacomakis and the 2024 season.
Yorgos Giacomakis, I mean, where do I even start with this guy? What I love about him is, first and foremost, his tenacity, his aggression, his willingness to do the dirty work on both sides of the ball. Taylor, you know this better than anything. We assess strikers on one thing, goal-scoring ability. And since he's come to the league, Giacomakis has shown that he can score goals in multiple ways. 23 career goals so far for Atlanta United in just 33 games, right? 10 with his right foot, 4 with his left foot, 8 with his head. The guy knows his way around the 18. But again, I think beyond just the goal scoring, it's everything else that he brings to his team. He brings this level of leadership through his passion, the energy that he plays with. Why I think that he will be in the Golden Boot race beyond just his own individual traits is the team that he plays in. He had Thiago Almada last 2 seasons, 31 assists. He has wingbacks and Brooks Lennon and Caleb Wiley combined for 36 assists, right? So he's going to continuously get service in the box, and he's shown that he's a quality finisher.
Quality finisher. So according to Mo Adu, and once again, thanks to our friends at Apple TV and Major League Soccer, that Yorgos Giacomakis isn't just a quality finisher. Quality finisher. A 3 times quality finisher. And Mo broke down the goals scored and where they come from Gigi. Kefsi thinks that Yorgos should be fine. Wish Greece had started him instead of bringing him on late. Hate it for Greece. Think he'll be ready to contribute Sunday in a battle of Greek strikers. Yes, Kefsi, he did forget his 30-yard dime passing, but good. It's a good list. But yeah, he did forget the ridiculous passing with the outside of the boot to Saba to get those goals on the board. Hey, let's play that one again, shall we? Courtesy of our friends at 92.9 The Game. Here's Mike and Jason.
Throw by Wiley that deflects to Giacomakis. Will swing across to Saba with Gillespie off his line. Saba dribble to the edge of the 6. Tough angle shot. Score! Listen, all you all, it's a sabotage! And Atlanta United strikes early to take the 1-0 lead.
See what happens when Gigi passes with the outside of his foot. Ridiculous things happen. And once again, thanks to 92.9 The Game and Major League Soccer and Atlanta United. But yeah, he did forget the whole passing thing. But I think that, Kefsi, Greece and Georgia work better together instead of against one another, because Georgia goes in, Greece does not to the Euros, which presents another interesting question now that we are discussing Saba Standard Time. Does Saba get a call-up for the Euros? He didn't get a call-up in one of the most important matches in his nation's footballing history. But now that they're in the Euro, does Saba get a call-up for the Euros? Does that mean that Saba goes away? We know that Bart Slieš is going to go away for the Euros because of the work that he put in. I think, 120 minutes as Poland gets into the Euros. So when the Euros happen, Atlanta United will not have Bartosz Slieš, but you will have in your midfield Jay Fortune, Dax McCarty, etc. So the elements are there to wrap around it. So Bart Slieš, while you will not have him in the summer, you will have, like I said, Jay Fortune and Dax McCarty to help you out defensively there at the 6. So, but yeah, the question is Does Saba get a call-up now? I mean, it's good news for Atlanta United because you'll have Yorgos around. But then once again, you're looking at Copa America and the time that Thiago Almada will be taking off, representing Argentina. So all of these different pieces that are going to have to be navigated in the middle of the summer. But that's why you build a roster like this. That's why Carlos Bocanegra and Atlanta United build a roster this way. So you can have this depth and work your way forward. Yes, I know we talked about Toronto in the early part of the week, but once again, it's all about this development getting adjusted to one another. So later on in the year, when you've spent more time with each other and you know who puts butter in their coffee and who doesn't, that you can be cool and you know what to expect and what to anticipate with one element added to this other than not. So I would anticipate, obviously, the 6 players will be back from international duty. Stian Gregerson is not going to be back for another couple of weeks as the baseline of our knowledge as he's recovering from the meniscus injury. But he could be sooner, could be later. Like I said, it's like looking at Charlotte Flair and her rehabilitation on the 280 character app from her knee injury. She's ahead of schedule. So does she, come at whatever's later on in the year, like Royal Rumble or something like that? Does she make an appearance at the Royal Rumble? We don't know. Does Stian Gregerson make an appearance by Backlash or whatever the next pay-per-view would be in the system? He wouldn't make WrestleMania 40, but would he make the next one? If we're talking about WWE timeline, something like that. Stian Gregerson out for the foreseeable future, next couple of weeks. So that probably means that since you have Jay Fortune back, you have Bart Sliech back, I don't know what to expect physically from Bartosz Sliech. And this is where the physios really get, they really earn their dollars. Sliech, coming from Europe, flies probably, Wednesday back from Europe to be here in Atlanta. He gets reacclimated. You've got jet lag Thursday. And then yesterday is kind of like the bits and pieces in the walkthrough and getting acquainted with once again all over. And then, where is Bart Sliech when it comes to his physical recovery? Can he give you 45? Can he only give you 30? Can he give you 60? That's one of the questions here. I would anticipate, just because of jet lag and working forward and all of those kinds of things, that you're going, Fortune's back. Do not be surprised if your starting lineup is Jay, Tristan, Thiago in the midfield. Thiago, we know that he scored the penalty in Philadelphia, but don't think he really put in a whole lot of minutes otherwise. I don't think he played in the second match of the window, or if he did, it wasn't a whole lot. So Gigi's back. He's the point of the spear. Then on the left, Shande Silva, Tyler Wolff. On the right, Saba, who's doing well on both sides of the ball. First and foremost, I just want to know if everybody's thawed out. That's when I asked Jason if he thawed out. If he had been thawed out by now, then I hope he has. And how many of the guys have thawed out? I mean, Brad Gazan, when he mentions that there's ice on the ball and you water down the field with a 1-0 lead, yeah, you're fighting uphill. But you're looking at a lineup that pretty much is first choice. Up top, left to right, you're thinking Shande Silva, Gigi, Saba, left to right. Midfield, Thiago, Tristan, Jay Fortune, not knowing what Bart Sliech can give you. And then at the back, that's the other question. Since you don't have Stian Gregerson, and Luis Abram played 90 minutes in Peru on Tuesday, flew out Wednesday, because I don't think there's direct flights really from South America. Even, Delta can help you out to a certain extent, just wouldn't be the night of unless they went wheels up or something like that. So Luis Abram probably shows up late Wednesday into town. Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground Thursday, maybe. they're getting the rust off and just, getting back into the Atlanta United mental swing of things today, then you're there. Kefsey, glad to see you once again. Thanks for hanging out until 9:45. We will see you here in the Twitch pitch, and we will see you at Mercedes-Benz hopefully soon. So backline, Caleb back from the U23s. Caleb didn't put in a whole lot of minutes either with the matches that they were playing. So it's Caleb, Derek Williams, probably Noah Cobb again, and then Brooks on the right-hand side with Brad in net. So really your questions are the other center back, which to me means, like I said, you don't have Gregerson. Abram played 90. That means Derek stays on the left. You bring Noah Cobb in again. And then the discussion at the 6 with Bart Sleesh. So like I said, I still think that in order, depending on game state at the 6, it's going to be Jay Fortune. And if you're in a position where you're leading and you just want a closer late, you let Bart sit. Everything's fine. You have Dax come in out of the bullpen, close, give you 20, and you're good. So that, to me, would be the starting lineup that you're staring at for Atlanta United. Once again, front to back. Shande, Gigi, Saba, Tiago, Tristan, Jay, Fortune, and then Caleb, Derek, Noah Cobb, and Brooks Lennon with Brad in net. So that's what I'm looking at for Atlanta United in this matchup against Chicago. Everybody back from national team duty. You just don't know how many minutes you can get from folks, but we'll see. Chicago, they can score. Kuipers has been a great pickup for them. Of course, with what they've invested, you hope that Kuipers would be giving you the dividends that you are. You've got to keep an eye always on not-so-big Shaq, Xherdan Shaqiri. Considering what they're paying him, you definitely need to be keeping an eye on him as well. Can't just leave him be. Cannot give him space. So that's what Kellen Acosta, he'll cause some problems. But looking at Shaqiri and Kuipers, AB, slowing them down, I think you can. I think that once again, we got into the discussion last weekend, actually. We all know about Andrew Gutman's injury. Gutman comes from Colorado to Chicago in the offseason, injured out of the blocks. I think he's out for another week or two at the least. Then Chase Gasper, and we don't know the latest on that, but Chase Gasper was substituted in the second half of the match last week, and he was in only for a cup of coffee before he had to be subbed out. So literally you ended up with a sub on a sub, and you're looking at, the health of Chase Gasper right now. What was his recovery after that injury? So you're kind of thin with the injury if the injury sticks as it was. But with Chase Gasper being dinged, how many minutes can he give you? Those kinds of things. That is one of my questions. If Gasper can't go 190% for you, then what do you do in return? You're going to have to move some folks around. You might have some folks that would be out of position by their natural inclination. So looking down the right-hand side, and I'm giving you a whole lot of prescription for victory, by the way, might be a busy day down the attacking right for Atlanta United. Of course, now that I say that, they'll probably find a way to get Caleb Wiley going and Tiago down the left as well. But keep an eye on what it looks like on the left side of the defense for the Chicago Fire. And what you would have is Brooks and Saba down the right, going up against that left-hand side, and once again, servicing GG and moving Saba forward, what have you. So that's what I'm looking at when it comes to Chicago and what Atlanta could do against Chicago. But once again, on that surface, I think in the 6 wins, they've scored 17 goals. So you're looking at just under 3 goals a match. I think you can get to 3 in this one just because of what we see with this club at Mercedes-Benz. You get one, you get rolling. You get another one, you keep going, and everything just continues to roll downhill for you. So I think Atlanta gets goals. I think there's still a moment where they give one up. I'm thinking, yeah, I know, Hutch. Work the commentator's curse. That's what I'm here for. I think it's 3-1-ish again. That's just me. I think that there's going to be a set piece. I think that Shaq or Kuipers gets something done. I think they get a goal. And so you end up probably something in that 3-1 final. That's my gut, is that you're going to get goals with Atlanta United just because of being at home. Everybody's back. Great to see you. And this is my other request. That when you hear Steve Craig announce Yorgos Giacomakis, and every time Gigi touches the ball on Sunday, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to be as supportive, not that you're not already, but I just want you to reinforce that to Gigi because of what happened in international duty. I mean, you go on his Instagram, and literally he feels like he let his country down. And when you see stuff like that, absolutely breaks your heart, because you know what it means for these folks, for any athlete to represent his country. But when you see these kinds of things, it just absolutely breaks your heart. And you want the best for folks. And I mean, it's tremendous. You look on his Insta, he goes, I've received countless wishes in the last 24 hours and can't help but wish those same people sometime in the near future that they find the meaning of life as I have and receive such hugs and love as I received today with his two youngins when they met him at the door, because they obviously never did so far in their lives by their family. P.S. Many of yesterday became acquaintances, my friends. Thank you for the messages of support. I appreciate you immensely. And I would ask that you do the same. You just let him hear it. Let him hear it. Let him have him. Let him know. Legitimately, let him know. And I mean, seriously, when Gigi's name gets announced, yell your head off. Let him know that, from the 17s, that you love him for who he is and what he's doing. Just open your arms out wide. Let him have it. Let him hear it. Let him hear you. That's my request when it comes to Gigi, because we all know from the athletes that we follow, we have some idea in our heads as to the weight that is on their shoulders representing their country. And when you feel like you let yourself down and you let your country down and you let your family down, that is a heavy burden. So on Sunday afternoon, when Gigi comes out for the first time in warmups, let him hear it. When his name is announced by Steve Craig, let him hear it. Every time he touches the ball and you want him to just line something up and hit something from the underside of the bar from, say, 25, let him hear it. Let him know. Because, man, when you see those things that are posted online, and it's just it's frustrating. But it's frustrating when folks send out negative vibes and they don't understand the consequence of doing something like that. So let him hear it, let him know. And that's and Hutch also, there was when he was at Celtic, Hutch is looking for a Boom Yakamakis chant. When he was at Celtic, they had a song for him to the tune of 99 Luftballons. Go and look that up on the YouTubes. I would love to see that, and I know that Jarrett would too, to see that translate to Mercedes-Benz and to the 17s. That to me would be something really cool, to take something from his Celtic past, play it forward, and have it be a part of him here with Atlanta United. So That to me would be something cool. So go look that up on YouTube. That's the first homework assignment for the weekend, is go find the Yakamaki's chant from his time at Celtic that was paired to 99 Luftballons by Nana, and bring that forward and add that to the repertoire when it comes to respecting and showing support and love for Yorgos Yakamakis. D. Graham, for me, it's no question Cobb gets the start. Minutes with the twos just aren't useful in his progression. I think that when it comes to his progression, it can mean different things, D. Graham. I think that on the field, I know what you're getting at. I know that we all are looking at Noah, who has had no fear playing against folks twice his age. And, he's done that since he's been 15. And so we are all anticipating that he is going to make that step and be a quality center back in Major League Soccer, or whatever part of the planet he's going to be a top-level center back. He does need reps. He does need minutes. But once again, being a part of the first-team roster and being a part of all the multiple competitions and all this kind of stuff, I don't know if he is 34 matches back-to-back-to-back ready in Major League Soccer. So I think that getting these cups of coffee, being around the first team roster, getting the starts here occasionally, like he did in Toronto, that will do wonders for his growth. Being in a tough spot on the road, being in 18-degree wind chill, trying to kick a frozen ball, trying to figure out how to get your footing on frozen turf, grass, those kinds of things. I think that what you don't want is him not playing. Thank you, Hutch. Hutch doing the Lord's work and finding the Celtic chant right there. So that is that's the chant that I'd love to see added to the repertoire for the 17s and Gigi. But once again, back to Noah Cobb. If Noah doesn't get quality first team minutes, it's not really doing anything for his progression. You understand what I'm saying? That's why I think if he starts with the second team, continues practicing with the first team, evolving with the first team, getting those spot starts, I think this is that stage where we are. I think that he's maybe, unless he continues to grow, I'm thinking maybe 25, not his age, but the year. I'm thinking maybe 25 is when he challenges for that starting spot. And maybe, he's that third center back in. I mean, he's probably the fourth right now, and so it's just challenging the depth chart. He needs regular reps. You can't just be on a first team starting 18 or a game day 18 or a game day 20 and not get reps in game state. And so that's why I think that the time with the twos is vital for Noah. I think it's vital for Efren Morales, and I think it's vital for folks like Nick Firmino and for Luke Brennan to continue to stay in playing rhythm, even if it is with the second team, and be ready when they get the call up for the first team. So if that's where I'm coming from, and if that makes let me know if that makes any sense. I would rather somebody get regular reps on the second team, become more confident on the second team, and then when they step in for first team minutes initially, because of log jams and others deemed worthy of starting, I want you to get regular reps. I want you to get regular reps. I want you to get regular minutes. Then when you're ready for that spot start, for that call up, you're ready to go because you've played regularly and you're not having to fight for conditioning and those kinds of things. I do see where you're coming from, D. Graham, where Noah's concerned. And I think that, like I said, I think he's maybe 2025. That's when he should be challenging for a starting position or to be that number 3 center back, as opposed to maybe the number 4, which is where he is right now with Luis and Derek and Stian Gregerson and Noah. So I would say Noah and Efra are probably your 4 and your 5 when it comes to center backs. Maybe next year, if Noah continues to grow and evolve, he's the 3. And so it's just, taking those steps and stages. But I want regular second team minutes, consistent second team minutes, although this 3-week window of doing nothing is going to drive me crazy. I'm looking for regular second team minutes to stay game state fresh, then hop in when you're asked to. So let me know if that makes any sense. Yeah, Tom, you're probably right. Thank you, Hutch, once again, doing the Lord's work. Boom. There it is. The Celtic chant with 99 Luftballons for Yorgos Yakamakis. Tom, You don't get the constant mentioning of the frozen field and ball. Did Toronto play elsewhere? No, but what they did do is get a lead. And then, I mean, and Tom, you know this too from all of your other fandoms. You're always going to do things to create an advantage for yourself. But I mean, the bottom line is, first 20 minutes, you get to the quarter pole, you're dead even. You're fighting through things, you're dead even. But then once again, when Toronto gets that first goal, then you're fighting uphill, and then all these other things, the cold and the ball and all these other external factors are a part of it. But bottom line is, you gave up the first goal. You're having to fight uphill, and then that means that Toronto, all they need to do is just go into the cookbook a little bit. It's like, all right, what else can we do to make things difficult here? Oh, yeah, so it's 18 degrees outside with a wind chill, and we're going to turn the sprinklers on. So, I mean, you know about gamesmanship and doing things with your other fandoms. But bottom line is, you gave up the first goal, and you're fighting uphill in that unreal weather and all the other external factors. But bottom line is, like I said, we talked about it on Monday. You gave up the first goal. Gave up the first goal on the road with 5 starters out. 5, something in that vein. You were without 6 individuals. You're without 7 with the injury that you're used to calling upon. Bottom line is, though, in those conditions, added to all of it, you gave up the first goal. Bottom line, you gave up the first goal. The rest of it, you're fighting uphill, and then you can add all the meteorology and all of the gamesmanship and all that kind of stuff. And Abby mentioning about Noah playing first team minutes, he did. 89% passing, had a block and a clearance, and a couple of steals. And I had the numbers up yesterday when we were talking about Noah. But once again, 99 touches, 89% passing efficiency from the back. Had a couple of moments in stopping the rush from Toronto. So I think Noah's getting there. But right now with Derek and with Stian, when he's healthy, but once again, out of instances like that comes opportunity. And this is an opportunity for Noah Cobb. Noah at home, once again, and we mentioned it with Gigi, do the same thing with Noah if he starts. I think he starts because of the minutes that Luis put in for Peru during the window. Let Noah hear it. Local guy, through the system, through the academy, let him hear it. Let him hear that wave that you guys, the 17s push forward when you give support. So I'm adding Noah Cobb to my wish list too. So Gigi and Noah Cobb. Everybody, don't get me wrong, but a little extra maybe for Gigi, a little extra maybe for Noah. And Efren Morales, yeah, I don't know how Efra survived. And I think that the hug from John Berner maybe it was just to keep him upright when the match was over. But yeah, Efren Morales was insane against Carolina Core. After going to Toronto, going on the flight, sitting in 18-degree weather, and then turning around and being a part of the twos, starting at center back, being there for 90 minutes, thawing out, and just fantastic stops and being that force at the back. I think John Berner's hug when the clean sheet happened was just to keep him upright. So, yeah, but like I said, right now I think that Noah and Efra are your 4 and your 5 when it comes to center back. Out of these opportunities, they have the chance to continue to grow and evolve to be that 3 and the 4 next season. We'll see where they are once again as it goes through everything. But I think there are goals here for Atlanta United. And I think that you probably get 3. I think it's a 3-1 final. That's what my gut tells me. But I think that Atlanta United, as we all wait for that last match of the weekend while we're looking at everything else, goals will be there, but I want to know what the readiness factor is. And I think the extra day might help in trying to determine what Bart Sleesh can give you and what everybody else can give you coming into the discussion. And, coming back from international break, because that Thiago's not going to want to leave, especially if it's a tight game late. Gigi's not going to want to leave, especially if it's a tight game late. So they're not going to get touched. And then Caleb, Caleb's going to go as long as he can. Caleb will probably give you 90. Then Jay Fortune will be there off the bench. And you just, you continue to go from there. So I think that it's going to be as close to first choice as possible. But my questions are at the 6 and it's center back. So that's what we got going in with this particular one. So once again, whatever questions you guys have on your mind, halfway point of the show. And it doesn't matter on what division it is, doesn't matter on where we are, but let's get into the weekend preview and all the news of the morning. And news of the morning will start in Los Angeles. And LAFC is turning into AARP FC. And what I mean by that is it appears that in addition to Olivier Giroud and his perfectly coiffed hair and his perfect jawline and the beard to match, it appears that Kai Kamara is finalizing a deal to be with LAFC. This, if this happens, when it happens, will be Kai Kamara's 11th Major League Soccer team. 11th. Crew, Earthquakes, Dynamo, Sporting, Crew again, so that doesn't count. Revs, Vancouver, Colorado, Minnesota, Montreal, Chicago. I guess what they're doing is they're counting Crew twice. 11th stop twice with Columbus. 39 years old, went to Cal State Dominguez Hills. His senior career that was strange. I don't know what happened. Yeah, his hair was perfect, Hutch. Absolutely it was. So, yeah, I don't know what happened with the interwebs there. But, yeah, Kai Kamara is now on his D. Graham will talk about that too. So, yeah, I don't know what happened with the internet. They just decided to dump me. Apparently, our parent provider is having issues with Facebook, and I guess it's rolling over. D. Graham, we will talk about that. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. We'll get into it more coming up in just a little bit because it is part of the weekend. Okay. So Kai Kamara, his 11th stop that includes 2 tours with Columbus. So now you add Kamara up top to the probability of Olivier Giroud in the summer window, like July the 18th or 19th, I think is when that would be with Giroud because of the Euros. If France makes it all the way to the end of the Euros, it's like July 15th. And the summer window opens on the 18th, I believe. So 3 days after, his hair was perfect. Dip. I don't know if he is a werewolf, but thank you for that, Hutch. But Giroud up top, 18-month deal, which seems to be the thing now for LAFC. And you now end up with Kai Kamara helping out up top with Denny Bouanga. You don't have to have Bogish as a false 9. He's more of a midfielder that Steve Cherundolo threw up there to be up top. And so now you would be bringing in Kai Kamara, who is a true striker, to help you out on the front line. Bogish gets to drop back to more of a natural position. Olivier Giroud would be coming in, and he and Lloris would be at Nobu in Malibu all the time. Absolutely, they would. So you get that with LAFC and Kai Kamara. Kamara 39, and he's right on the shadow of Landon Donovan. 1 goal behind Don Ovan. And so that happened this morning. Bogert also mentions, as we were talking about the Kevin Sullivan deal in hour number 1, it looks like the deal for Kevin Sullivan is $2 million up front for a 14-year-old. $2 million up front. Deal could rise to $5 million with add-ons. Think about it. $5 million with add-ons, with Philly keeping a sizable sell-on clause. Okay, good on Philly for doing that. But the numbers, it looks like $2 million up front, which really doesn't seem like a whole lot of money. In Major League Soccer and for Philadelphia Union, Rich Ransom could probably back us up here. $2 million, yeah, definitely. And to help out the larger discussion that we've had about Philadelphia in the past, the add-ons that could happen down the line could definitely help out your bottom line when it comes to building your infrastructure and such. But so $2 million for the future of a 14-year-old. Manchester City and City Football Group. They're just like, yeah, sure, $2 million. There you go. Could rise to $5 million. And then the sell-on percentage with our friends. So 2 million and possibly to 5. It sounds like a bargain to me. It sounds like a bargain, but once again, you are also talking about a 14-year-old young man. 14. 2 million and possibly 5. Yikes. Okay, so 2 million and possibly 5. That's what we're staring at with all of that. All right, so D. Graham wanted to mention Messi and friends getting the player from Boca, the 24-year-old defender, and getting him on a loan because of the injury to Redondo. And Redondo is going to be out, looks like, for 8 weeks or so. So what Messi and friends did yesterday is sign Marcelo Weigand on loan from Boca Juniors. And I think that's probably all you can really do right now is bring in folks on loan. Because remember, when they decided that they had to get rid of DeAndre Yedlin to bring in Redondo in the first place, who has a tear of his lateral, his LCL, lateral cruciate ligament. It's the LCL. And I know that I was going to stumble over the word cruciate. It's an LCL tear. He's supposed to be out for 8 weeks. So you spend all this money to bring in Redondo. At the same time, you have to get rid of DeAndre Yedlin and all the other machinations that you've done as Chris Henderson. And that wild number for AM, like 162,799, something crazy to get rid of to get rid of DeAndre Yedlin, so you can have the cap space to bring in Redondo, who tears his LCL, and now all you really can do is do folks on loan. But once again, this goes to the larger problem. We don't know how much space Messi and friends have to work with. We do not know. We just don't know what it looks like. So that's what you're staring at there. Once again, we'll play with it, and I think I might have sent Jarrett the link to yesterday's show and trying to get him to hop in today. I'm real good at that these days. Lateral collateral ligament. Thank you. So it's kind of like carbon. It's the lateral collateral. So you have lateral collateral, anterior and posterior cruciates, and lateral collaterals. Okay. So there you go. That's silly. So we'll see what's going on. We'll see what's going on there. Hi, Jarrett. I finally sent you the right link, didn't I?
It's the journey that gets us here. That's what matters.
Shit. Give me a break. I mean, yeah, it's not a surprise. It's like I had 2 StreamYard windows open up at the beginning of the day. And of course I went into the wrong window, and then I ducked out of it and ducked into this one, which is today's show. And StreamYard ducked me out of this one. So I had to dial back in twice. And so that's the kind of day we have here.
Okay.
We were discussing D. Graham's thoughts on Marcelo Weigand and enter Messi and friends getting somebody else on loan and the larger picture therein, with Redondo now being out for 8 weeks with an LCL tear. So they get rid of Yedlin. They bring in the weird number of AM, and they have to do something because Redondo's out for 8 weeks. Apparently that was sustained at practice. And so you bring in a 24-year-old defender from Boca Juniors in Marcelo Weigand on loan with the chance to possibly extend the loan through the end of next year. But it goes once again back to the larger issue of, okay, players injured, you're bringing in somebody else, and you don't know, as someone from the outside, how much wiggle room Messi and friends have when it comes to their cap space and what they get to do and what they don't get to do. Imagining, obviously, that loan is probably the only thing that they can do right now, considering where they are against the cap. But it just, once again, it gets folks' antennae up over, okay, so they get to do this now, and they get to do this now, and they get to do this now. It gives the impression that the rules are different for the Herons than everybody else. And it goes to the larger picture of it. We all need to have a little more transparency when it comes to what Inter Messi and friends are doing on a daily basis, and everybody else in Major League Soccer.
Yeah, but you're still within the window.
Yeah.
You're always going to, I think, try and run it up right to the limit that you can.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it stinks because it is. There's a certain aspect of it that is comical that we're still here.
It absolutely is comical.
That wow, they've went and done everything. They've gotten everyone. But wait, there's more.
Yeah. There's more folks that they can get.
Yeah. We have turned into a Ron Popeil infomercial.
Oh,
with
wow.
Miami.
Wow. And they had the survey for the anonymous survey that they like to do over at the Athletic, and one of the topics that was discussed is the whole roster rules and salary thing, and do you widen the cap, and do you just go ahead and take the governor out of the golf cart and let folks invest what they want to invest, those kinds of things. So, you're kind of like, I'd love more transparency, and I would love for folks to be able to sit there and make a rule change and change the existing system, increasing the number of DPs, increasing the cap. I just want transparency when it comes to budget charges and cap space. I want to know how much teams have to work with so we can all be more educated when it comes to a window.
And I think that's one of the things, man, is that we're in this situation where we just want answers with MLS, with the way they do finances. We just want answers, man. We just want simplicity. You don't even have to tell us you don't have to give us the entire, cheat sheet. Going to traumatize any of our Georgia Tech people. You can just give us the note card where we can put down the formulas we need.
Yeah.
Just do that.
Yeah.
That's all I ask.
Yeah, that's not asking for much. I know it is asking for a whole lot.
It is, because as I brought up to Will and to Thomas this week, with the bridge collapse in Baltimore.
Yeah.
You had a bunch of people on this godforsaken, dead, decaying bird app sitting there trying to tell you how bridges work and how boats work and how engineering works. And then you would have literal civil engineers and structural engineers come and be like, that's not how it works. And no, yeah, it is. You don't know. And yeah, my favorite thing from this week was watching the friends of mine who went to Georgia Tech and got traumatized for multiple years. And all of them, I have spoken to multiple people on an individual basis. All of them still have traumatic nightmares pretty frequently about Georgia Tech academics. None of that meant anything this week because you had a bunch of people who knew nothing and had nothing but misplaced confidence telling you why something did or didn't work. I'm sure I think I've already prepped myself for the there's your problem podcast to go over that bridge collapse, because it has put so many engineering students in hell. But yeah, give them the note card. Just MLS. I belabor that analogy to say MLS. Just give us a note card with some notes on it instead of keeping it all behind the curtain.
Yes, please. As much as we would like to have a discussion with the man behind the curtain, apparently not. We finally have one of the biggest kept secrets now finally out in public. Xabi Alonso has announced that he is staying at Bayer Leverkusen. So the post-Kloppian search for the next Liverpool manager will continue. So, no Xabi Alonso at Liverpool next year. He's staying at Leverkusen. Apparently, they're going to sweeten his deal, and they're going to try to keep him there through 26, at least for starters. So we'll see what happens there. And so now the quest begins anew for Liverpool and for Fenway Sports Group to try to figure out who they want to bring in instead of Xabi Alonso, because it's not going to be Xabi Alonso. Other things that we were talking about this morning, we've got the We've got weekend whip around coming, patent pending trademark coming, where we go through all the other matchups. But Kai Kamara is now part of turning LAFC into AARPFC.
Yeah, look, man, I respect anyone who's going to work that hard to get a discount at Piccadilly.
Yes. Or Marie Callender's or wherever you can go on the West Coast. So you'll have Kamara, who probably comes in at a veteran minimum, not really affecting a whole lot, which can mean more money for Olivier Giroud in his 18-month contract when he shows up in July. Also, we went through the news on Kevin Sullivan. Numbers are out, and it looks like it's a $2 million sign by City Football Group for a 14-year-old. Big portion of the future sell-on of the past stays with Philadelphia. Don't know that percentage, but with add-ons for a 14-year-old over time, it could be as high as $5 million. That sounds like a steal in today's economics, even though we're discussing a 14-year-old.
It is, and we're going to have to be really careful with this because it's very exciting. It's very exciting for Sullivan. It's very exciting for his family. He's still a kid.
Yep,
we got to be careful.
Yes.
It's okay to get excited. Not trying to bring anybody down or harsh anybody's mellow over this, but just
wow,
be aware.
Harshing a mellow.
Yeah, man. You just be patient with it.
Yes.
Just be realistic about it because there's a chance he's going to go through growing pains.
Yes.
There's a chance he's going to hit an age where it's going to stall out.
Yep.
Yeah, it might be the end of it. He might hit a boost again.
Yes.
We put a lot of pressure on teenagers that it requires a very special teenager mentally to be able to handle what these guys are asked of. And that's been one of the things that I think Tony Annan talked about in the past. Go look at Atlanta United's versus homegrown group versus future ones. Being able to emotionally and mentally handle those jumps is really difficult because raw talent alone isn't a reason to hand someone a homegrown deal or decide somebody is the future.
Yep.
They have to be able to compartmentalize and handle trials that are really tough to ask for a teenager.
Yep. Tom Russo letting us know that Doug Robertson of the AJC is posting a story about Marta's board okaying a pending sponsorship deal with Atlanta United. Let me guess, they're going to have a parked bus be a part of it.
If they don't release, like, I'm trying to think what goal you would use. Almada's free kick that he hit from Dunwoody last year.
Yeah.
Use that one to announce this. Somebody in the social media department for United and Marta, I'm throwing this one to you. When you announce the Marta sponsorship, please play that clip and just have the Marta bus roll through and block the entire shot of Almada's Golazo. That's how you announce this.
That would be tremendous.
Yeah.
Not a surprise, mind you, but tremendous. No, Tom, you were right there. We had not discussed it, and that's why I brought it to the table as quickly as I did. I let my thoughts be known about Atlanta United and Chicago. What about you?
Interesting matchup. Chicago's kind of been trying to figure themselves out for a couple of years now, it feels like.
Yep.
Just woefully inconsistent. Shaqiri still kind of has black hole tendencies. Fabian Hebert, it's a problem. Chicago's just kind of wily to deal with, and Atlanta played wily games with them last year. Yeah, I mean, it's a game you should win. We've talked, I feel like the last 3 games we have talked about games you should win and games that you might not win. And as much as it sucks, Toronto is one of those games where, hey, you might not beat Toronto because you're missing everybody. You didn't beat Toronto. Partially because you were missing everybody, but partially because you failed in execution at specific areas.
Yes.
We can call that for what it is.
Yeah.
But you should beat Chicago. If you want to, and I think this team is, if you want to be one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the league, and I think they are incredibly capable of that existence.
Absolutely.
Then you beat Chicago at home.
Yeah.
And even if it's not perfect, look, the thing I will go back to because the Orlando game, for instance, the Orlando game was tricky. Because but it also gave me. It was one of those things where I know some people were anxious about the Orlando game because of the way it played out. I liked that it played out that way, that you weren't at your best, that you had to play a scrappy, different kind of game, and you still got a clean sheet and a win. Mm-hmm. That's what you're going to need. How does this defense adapt without Stian Gregerson? Because he has been incredibly important to this defense and brings a different swagger. Mm-hmm. How do you adjust to that? Is it Noah Cobb again? John, I feel like we would be remiss. And I know Luis Abram is back.
Yeah, and I mentioned I figured that Noah would get the start at right center back this weekend because of Stian not being there.
That being said, I mean, you also have Morales, who is Efrain Morales is pushing.
Yeah, as you should. Yeah. And has Efra recovered from Carolina core? That'd be my first question. Is he upright?
Look, my favorite thing after that game was still like that Luke Brennan gave Maddie and I like 6 words in total because he got up and he's like, I'm so tired. he was just so exhausted. So yeah, that was my favorite part about that, and that was part of that. And that was part of the thing about being a professional is, hey, you had a tough travel. Well, tough luck. You got to go out there and play a game. Yep. And you did. You went out there and you played a game. Good job. Yep. But you've got multiple center backs who are going to push that spot now, and I think Stian Gregerson is going to be one of the fulcrums for this team's defense because of his swagger and his ability.
Yeah.
And also the fact that he might fight people. He seems like a nice Norwegian boy, but he also might fight people.
Don't cross me.
He brings some of that on-field swagger, and it doesn't have to be loud fighting. It can just be like a certain subtle menacingness, I guess. How do you replace that?
Yep. To D. Graham's point, Vicente Reyes is starting for Forest Green Rovers at 11 o'clock. They have a lot of.
Is he on loan at Forest Green?
Yeah, they have they are fighting. They're fighting for the relegation spots in League 2. And right now they are in relegation on goal difference. 2 teams go to the beer league, the National League, out of League 2. Right now, Sutton United and Forest Green Rovers are within a goal difference within each other, same number of points. Colchester United is a point above them both, out of the relegation zone. So 2 of those 3 will go down. Forest Green Rovers is playing at 11 o'clock. They have a lot of Good Friday 11 o'clock kicks. They have a lot of Good Friday 11 o'clock football.
We'll never know I don't know the full story. I should say we never will. I don't know the full story. Yeah, for a card that's exactly where I'm going. That's exactly where I'm going with this. Is we don't know the full story about Reyes, but God, I wish he had stayed here. And you can't have predicted everything. Like you could not have predicted that Justin Garces' knee would not consistently hold together. Because Garces had been kind of pinned as the one to watch since he was 18, 17 really, before he went to UCLA. He was expected to be that guy. He was so good at such a young age. He was really good at UCLA, came here, was really good, and then couldn't stay healthy. And then when he started getting banged up, was not the same guy, which sucks because I like Justin. He's a good kid.
Yep.
But man, if you could have looked through time,
yes,
I wonder if Reyes stays here and doesn't go to
Norwich.
And doesn't go to Norwich.
Yeah.
And then play for Forest Green because, do you in that instance, like, are you going to get Josh Cohen or are you grooming a guy like Vicente Reyes to be that next guy? Because it was a weird situation at the time because you had a couple of young goalkeepers with him and Garces. He jumped at that chance to go to England, and I'll never begrudge him that because he had a chance to go play in one of the biggest leagues in the world.
Yep.
But man, I wish he had stayed because that kid was so good.
Mm-hmm.
And still can be, and I hope he has a very successful and long and happy career over there. It would have been very interesting to see what all of this looks like if he had stayed, especially considering the fact that as it sits in 2024, Brad Guzan has basically put a vice grip on that starting position.
Yeah.
does not seem compelled to give it away. And something I need to bug him about at some point after a game is I'm still very curious how he's feeling almost 2 years on from that Achilles, because he looks to me, he looks closer right now to what he was before that than he was last year. And I thought he was fine last year.
Mm-hmm.
Thought he was fine.
And do you know that he wanted to prove a point to himself and to all of the haters that, hey, I can come back from an Achilles, and then I can come back from a knee injury when I get plowed into, and the dude that plows into me doesn't even get called for a foul.
But he's looking more like that guy right now. It's just very funny.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm very interested in a world where I'm very interested to see what a world looks like where Vicente Reyes is still in Atlanta.
Yes. The League Two match that is on television here on this particular side of the pond is the Wrexham Mansfield town match, and that is at 11 o'clock, where you have the married couple that is in charge of Mansfield Town that picked the club up for $1 about a decade ago, and you have Wrexham. So that's the League Two match coming up at 11 o'clock. We'll let you know what else is out there before we go to watch on your Friday to get you ready for the weekend. 5:30 and 7:30, it is White County at Gilmer at soccerdownhere.mixler.com. That is our fourth match day of the week. And so it's going to be fun to be up in LJ. They're taunting us with barbecue. So we'll see what happens when we go up there today for the big region matchup with Gilmer and White. Okay, so let's go through the MLS matches and the highlights of what's going to happen here in the footprint for USL Championship and League One. Philadelphia and Minnesota United. That is 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Philadelphia is a -125. Minnesota, for the draw and to win outright on the road, is on either side of +300. What say you, Jared Smith?
Who am I to bet against Minnesota right now? All they do is make me look dumb.
Okay, so are you going to take the draw option in a goalless, soulless draw, or are you going to actually take Minnesota United and go Pookie Power in this one?
We're going to go Pookie Power for however long it can, and maybe that's what you're going for LAFC. You see what an older Timo Pukki is doing. You're already bringing in Olivier Giroud and his beautiful old handsomeness.
Yes.
So now you're going to get Kamara as well. Maybe you're just embracing the veteranness of it all.
So we'll see what happens. Well, I mean, Eric Ramsey has a philosophy that is based on speed and youth, and Timo Pukki is neither. So we'll see what happens.
True story, bro.
Yes. 4 o'clock, the Rabid Prairie Dogs, Chris Armas on the Rapids are hosting LAFC. LAFC is a road favorite at a +125.
You know what? Give me LAFC here.
Okay. +125. Colorado's a +200. Draws a +258. Our buddy Kevin Egan gets started in earnest at 7:30. Charlotte and FC Cincinnati. Charlotte is a home favorite on the composite at a +123. FC Cincinnati is a +2.25 to win.
FC Cincinnati.
Okay. I'm right there with you. DC United hosting CF Montreal. DC is a -133. CF Montreal on the road is a +334. Your draw is basically a +300. I like the draw in this one because of CF Montreal causing problems for DC United. Getting a lot of heavy size out of you this morning.
Well, it's interesting matchups this week. DC's kind of been a problem for people.
Mm-hmm.
Give me DC. Let's get weird.
Okay, so he's getting weird. He's going to go DC.
Yes, he is.
Messi and Friends in Fort Lauderdale at a -109 hosting NYCFC. Do I need to go any further?
No.
Also at 7:30, the Purple Team hosting Red Bulls. Purple Team's a +143. Draws a +219, and Red Bulls are a +204. So you're taking the Red Bulls outright.
Yeah, we're doing Red Bulls, bud.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. Also at 7:30, the Fighting Herdmans host. Now, this is a touchline battle that I can't wait. Toronto hosting Sporting Kansas City. The battle of John Herdman and Peter Vermes. Toronto's a plus 154 favored at home. Draws a plus 234 in the composite. Sporting Kansas City is a plus 175. One guy that you really, truly need to shake hands with when the match is over is Peter Vermees, regardless of results, sir.
Yeah, you should probably do that for your own benefit, if nothing else. Because here's the thing, man. Vermees isn't just going to Vermees isn't going to put his hand up and walk away and be like, bah, humbug. He's not going to do that. He's going to come challenge you. He is going to come challenge you to fisticuffs.
Oh, well, I mean, frankly, I'm waiting for, an exchange that might be like this. Something like that on the touchline where your parabolic microphone and the guy who's holding it might be challenged to turn it in another direction.
Yeah.
That one's going to be fun. And I mean, I know that after what happened or what didn't happen last week in Toronto, we know that Gonzalo Pineda is a stand-up gentleman across the board, but shake hands after the match, John Herdman.
Not going to worry about it at this point. There's nothing to argue about with it because it's done and dusted at this point. If you worry about it, all of a sudden you're like, we're sitting here continuing to it was fine to talk about it at the moment, but now we're done with it. Because if you continue to sit here and worry about it, all of a sudden you're going to let certain Shaqiri, the black hole himself, basically playing like soccer Al Jefferson out there.
Joe Johnson.
Well, I don't know. DeJounte Murray last night. DeJounte Murray put 45 shots.
Yeah, that's true.
DeJounte Murray put up 45 shots in a game against Jason Tatum, and then mentioned Kobe Bryant as if to summon the ghost just to taunt Tatum even more.
Yes.
Oh my God, that was just the perfect storm of stupid.
Yes. They were a big dog, not a 9.5 point dog going in.
Because there's no logic to Atlanta beating.
No.
There's no logic to Atlanta beating the Boston Celtics. I get both games were in Atlanta, but there's no logic to winning one or both of those games. It was dumb. Yes. But yeah, you spend all that time worrying about that. All of a sudden, the black hole himself is going to put 2 goals past you. So don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it.
I want to see if it's a trend, though. I want to see if it's a trend involving.
That's fine if you want to, but
like I said, I'm going to take notes. 8:30 first round of Copa Tejas at Q2. Austin FC is a plus 144. Draws a plus 242. FC Dallas a plus 185.
Yeah, draw.
Houston hosting your Quakes, sir.
Houston.
Minus 115.
This is always a fun rivalry, too, because don't forget that Houston exists because they used to be Quakes.
That is true.
The title that Houston claims was won in San Jose. Yeah. But give me Houston in this one. Benny Ball.
8:30, Nashville hosting Crew at Geodis.
Crew.
At a plus 122.
Crew.
Nashville's a plus 206. How worried should we be about Gary Smith?
I think we should be worried. I don't think this game should contribute to that. Will it? Maybe. I don't think it should.
Yeah.
Because, yes, you should be worried about Gary Smith. You should be worried about the fact that they are no longer the defensive stalwarts. They are no longer defensively punishing teams and just being an impossible block to break down, where it turned into a ground match. It was like watching Kurt Angle at times where, this match got on the ground. Well, you've lost. This match turned into Nashville going up 1-0. Well, you've lost. All that matters now is whether you want to lose 1-0 or 2-0 and give up an amazing counter goal to Hani Mukhtar. Yeah. But the fact that you're not that defensive animal anymore, that was just an impossible wall to break down. Mm-hmm. Nashville's been getting leads and then either giving them up or damn near giving them up at a pretty consistent clip. Look, Columbus lost a game last week in which they got a red card in the 30th minute, I think. Scored down a man, had it wiped away, and then gave up 2 outstanding golazos to Charlotte. I'm never really worried about Columbus right now as long as they're healthy.
Yes.
Nashville, I'm very worried about you. But losing to Columbus is not going to be the straw that breaks that camel's back for me.
Yeah, you lose 5-0 out in Los Angeles. Joe Willis with a red, so that means that Elliot Panico will be between the sticks for this match also.
Yeah, that was much more concerning.
Yeah.
Like, if we're going to talk about things that are concerning, giving up a 5 spot to an LAFC team that has not looked like it can put a 5 spot on anybody, that is more concerning.
Yeah. It was 3-0 at the point when Willis got the red. Panico came in and they were down to 10 men. Panico ends up giving up 2 in, I want to say, the final 15 minutes to make it 5-0. 9:30. RSL hosting all caps. RSL is a -112 at home. And
Caps, baby. This is the kind of game the Caps thrive on.
Plus 281 for St. Louis City SC. The draw is north of that, almost a plus 285. 10:30. We got Nico to talk about this yesterday. With your protein power pack, the P3 of Paintsel, Peck, and Puig hosting Seattle at a -105. Seattle still has a boatload of injuries, and it's in key positions as well. And Seattle on the road is a plus 264. Your draw is a plus 274 on the road. I got to go with LAG here. And
Galaxy.
And the
once again, you overpaid Paintsel, but
hey,
yeah, whatever. You overpaid Paintsel, but whatever. Hopefully, he puts up numbers.
$19 million for both Paintsel and Peck to bring them in the door. Your over under is wow. Okay. Over under 2.5 is a -142. 3 is a plus 115. 3.5 is a plus 171. I like the 3.5, the over 3.5 at a plus 171. I think that LA is going to get goals. I think that one's probably going to have at least 4 goals on the board.
I think LA is always going to get goals,
especially at home.
I think that's just their existence.
No doubt about it. Also, the latest of the late games also is a 10:40 kick. Vancouver hosting Portland in Cascadia.
Vancouver.
Yeah, -1.
I think Vancouver. I think Portland will be fine this year. In fact, I think Neville will be. I think he'll have them fine. Will they be better than that? That's not for me to say. I can't predict that. I think he did some really underrated work in 2022 in Miami. I also think that it was time in 23, but also he was the sacrificial lamb for all of that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
But you could have justified it at the time because it was starting to wear down. But the Mad Italian's back.
Yes.
So all hope abandon, ye who enter here.
Yes, Vanni Sartini back on the touchline. So at a -120, you get to roll that one there. And then obviously Atlanta United's a -132. I think that I'm going to look at the total here real quick. I think it's going to be something 3-1-ish. So considering that Atlanta's averaging in the 6 wins, they've scored 17 goals. That puts you at about 3. So if you go 3-1, 3.5 is a plus 140, 4 is a plus 245, 4.5 is a plus 315. So 3.5 once again a plus 140. I think you get there. I think that's pretty easy. In USL Championship, we got stuff to talk about there. We got League One. We got MLS Next Pro is weird. Atlanta United's offer 3.
Yes. Well, because they moved 2 of their games into like the back end of August.
Yeah, so you got a 3-week layoff for Atlanta United too. USL Championship, we had Kaylor on for the first time, and our friends from the USL show in season. We got to discuss things with them tonight. The newly promoted North Carolina FC is taking on Hartford. Lou City and Birmingham tomorrow afternoon at 4. And that one ain't never met a street fight that it never liked. That one's going to be at Lynn Family. You've got Charleston on the road. Dell's keeping an eye on this one. Charleston at the Miami FC, and they're an even money run there. Tampa Bay and Rhode Island. And our buddy Michael Parkhurst's club is taking on the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Rowdies haven't won a match yet so far this year at a -145. Also on the board, Memphis 901, our buddy Stephen Glass is in Sacramento. That Western Conference, and this was a point that was made.
Western Conference is a knife fight.
Well, and now that Memphis 901 has gone from the East to the West because of bringing in Rhode Island and trying to even things out when it comes to the number of clubs,
Yeah.
Memphis 901 is now in the Western Conference, and they get to try to figure out how to fly from Memphis to Sacramento. I imagine they did that yesterday. But all of these direct flights to lovely places like, you're flying into John Wayne from Memphis to get to Orange County. Sacramento, Monterey Bay, you're flying into, I guess, the San Jose airport there. You fly into Oakland to play Roots. You're trying to find a flight from Memphis to Albuquerque. You're trying to get to Phoenix and Vegas and El Paso and Colorado Springs. It's a unique season for Stephen Glass and right now they're 8th after the first match.
It's not identical to like the Braves in the West kind of thing from back in the day, but man, it's just a lot of travel. But it goes the other way too. You have a lot of teams in the West that are going to have to take on some really rough travel coming back east. Like just wait till like Sacramento or Oakland have to travel east to Memphis. It's a long trip, man.
Yeah, it is.
It's just inconvenient for a lot of people.
Yes.
In multiple directions. It's inconvenient for just about everybody in the West.
Yes. Public service announcement as a part of the release of the show this morning. Drew Dickinson has completed the 3D. He has sent it skyward, and so it'll be out as well, where he gets to talk about the renewal of the Premier League week and everything that's going on there. When it comes to the schedule, this is going to be an interesting time for some teams in League One, because they're playing on the weekend, and then they have to turn around and figure out how to play on the midweek with Open Cup. You've got Greenville and Lexington playing tonight. Greenville is in Open Cup in the midweek. Forward Madison and Fuego is tonight, and that one's at Fresno State. That's a 10 o'clock kick. Tomorrow, for Tormenta, it's even more interesting because Tormenta travels to One Knox to take on One Knoxville SC, and then they turn around in the midweek this upcoming week and play Savannah Clovers in Open Cup. Chattanooga and Union Omaha, by the way, has been postponed on Saturday, so only 3 matches this week in USL League One. But schedule compression in USL League One. Please shake hands and go into your respective corners and come out fighting.
I mean, it's gonna be brutal for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got Open Cup going as well.
Yes, you do have.
Good luck, everybody.
Yes,
try not to die.
Yes, yeah. A tip of the hat to everybody. Tormenta's a big underdog on the road at One Knox, no surprise. Coach McKeever's got One Knox rolling. I love their Sunsphere kit, by the way. Very, very cool there. Forward Madison favored on the road in Fresno. Greenville favored on the road at Lex SC because Lexington SC just decided, it's like we're going to just blow up the salary cap and sign everybody. Kaler mentioned the point. Yeah, they signed Cameron Lancaster and they signed a lot of folks. They just still don't have any defense. And so that's something that Lex has to sort out when it comes to the upcoming season. So we'll keep an eye on Open Cup. And speaking of Open Cup, we're going to be kind of looking at something real close to ourselves here in the midweek next week with Apotheos going at it. Yeah.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out what the broadcast plans for that are going to look like, just so we don't step on toes. But Apotheos is hosting Chattanooga Red Wolves up at Silverbacks Park Wednesday.
Yes. So looking forward to that one as we figure things out. So looking forward to Open Cup and seeing how that goes. We'll throw ourselves fully into the Open Cup next week. I think we're going to turn the early part of next week into an Open Cup zone. And the Chattanooga Red Wolves matches, the reason for the postponement, especially with Union Omaha and then the matchup against Charlotte on April 6th, it is because of playing surface upgrades at CHI Memorial. It is not because of getting deferrals in the Open Cup schedule. They are working on upgrades at CHI Memorial that includes the grass surface there. And so the surface there. And so the surface upgrades are taking place now. So those 2 home matches have been pushed back down the line when it comes to Chattanooga. So we'll see what happens there with the rescheduling, and the dates are coming up. Still have not figured out the dates for that yet, but home opener April 20th at CHI Memorial, the 2 home dates, not Open Cup related for pushing them back, but playing surface updated. For pushing them back. So we'll keep an eye on Red Wolves going forward. Woo! You mentioned it's going to be tough. You're not having a home match for about another 3 weeks for Chattanooga.
Mm-hmm.
They're out of the blocks in USL League One. News and notes, it looks like overseas that we are closer to, it looks like maybe Jess's beloved Reading might actually have an owner that is not named Dai Young, but I'm not really holding my breath on it until it absolutely happens. There is a Swiss hedge fund group that looks like they might be the ones to pick things up and try to pick up the pieces, as it were. But as we all know, especially with this particular individual who currently owns Jess's beloved Reading, he always kind of likes to change the ideas about what he wants and when it comes to his demands and all of this kind of stuff. So keep an eye on it. Don't hold your breath. And until it happens, it happens. Fulham, I don't know if you saw this, Jared, but Fulham apparently with their new stadium plans, they're looking for, the enhanced hospitality experience. And I don't know. I mean, I think the last place that you and I saw something like this was either at the newly refurbished Gator Bowl or the Miami Marlins Stadium or a place like that. I think Diamondbacks Park might have it too. But apparently the folks at Fulham, and once again, this, the owners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, they want to bring the idea of a rooftop swimming pool.
That's a very Jacksonville / Arizona thing, but okay.
Yeah.
Remember, Arizona has the swimming pool out in right field. You can call it whatever you want, man. It's always going to be the Bob to me. It's always going to be Bank One Ballpark. You can call it whatever the hell you want. Just like Jacksonville's always going to be Alltel Stadium.
Yeah, and so Craven Cottage, apparently, in the new design plans, they want to have a rooftop swimming pool. But yeah, when your owners are the owners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, I wonder if the Khan family is going to have a mascot rappel down from the rooftop swimming pool down onto the pitch with the game ball. That would be get Jackson DeVille to show up and come down and rappel from the swimming pool down to the middle of the pitch at the new Craven Cottage. So that's what they're looking at as an idea when it comes to the future of a possible Craven Cottage. So God knows, but this once again does not surprise me that you would have this kind of a surprise or this kind of an addition when it comes to the ideas going forward for something like that. So not a shock, but I mean, are you really going to rent that suite at the new Craven Cottage? And are you going to do that for the festive fixtures matches at home? Are you really going to want to rent, unless it's a heated pool? You're really going to want to rent that rooftop suite for festive fixtures if you're at Fulham?
No.
I didn't think so. Yeah.
Fulham, unanimously known for its warm and humid weather and great swimming conditions.
Absolutely. You weren't here yesterday. We talked about the breaking news involving Sandro Tonali, hit with another 50 charges from the FA for gambling in a 60-day period from August to October of last year. Already banned for 10 months, similar offenses by the Italian FA last October. Tonali's understood to have placed some bets on games involving Newcastle in that 60-day period, although he only backed his team to win. It sounds very Pete Rose-ish. Newcastle are confident any punishment will run concurrently with the existing ban, still waiting on a final verdict. But Eddie Howe, when it has gone ahead, he has gone public and said, after Tonali got hit with the extra 50 charges from the FA, he is urging the FA not to extend the ban for breaching gambling rules, insisting Tonali has already been punished enough. Eddie Howe is saying Sandro from day one cooperated, was very honest with the club, with us, with the authorities, and what he had done and the issues that he had. So Thursday was no surprise. Obviously, it may have been a surprise externally for other people to hear this news, but we've been supporting him through this period. This is in the Q&A, he goes, very much so, this is an illness. Of course, the news that there was an FA charge. That illness didn't stop when he moved from Italy to England. That illness was there, and people should look at it that way, not let's throw the book at him and let's punish him even further, because I don't think that gets to the root of the problem. We need to protect all our players because this is something that's open to everybody and becoming a bigger problem in society. So this isn't just a problem for Sandro.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with any of that. This is also going to be something that gets closer and closer because you are continuing, especially here in the United States, and it's already happened in the world where you have betting companies on the front of jerseys. You're going to have players involved in these sorts of things. It's just going to happen because of the closeness of it all.
Yeah.
And it sucks because you're going to get guys like Tonali who are going to be more susceptible to it because they do have a gambling addiction.
Mm-hmm.
It's but in this instance, like you're putting dynamite next to the fireplace.
Yeah.
You don't need to do that. But if you're going to do that, you need to understand that there are going to be issues.
And the Premier League is making a point to remove betting agencies from the fronts of jerseys coming up in short order, and it's kind of causing folks to that are involved with these Premier League clubs to try to figure out what they're going to do with their sponsorships. I mean, there's a club in the EFL that has a billionaire owner that is inextricably that it is linked, because that's what his business is. He is one of these online casino guys, and he is a billionaire and he's tied to the club, and so everything blends itself together. So until something really does happen, you're like, this is a part of the day-to-day. We understand this. And the steps that the Premier League is trying to make, I wonder, how much of it's going to stick and how much folks will be going around these issues to try to continue to have this kind of economic driver still attached. So, there's always ways that people will find to get around the rules if they want to skirt the rules. They will try and find the loopholes, the billable hours. They will not flinch, especially where revenue is concerned. And as long as they're there, that meaning the betting companies and these kinds of influences, it's going to make you wonder about players and their illnesses and their addictions and what they're being subjected to in a sensory dimension every single day. And then the expectations, we could get into the whole Tim Donaghy discussion. It's like, so what about influence? And you have networks that are tied to these kinds of things, and they sit there and are blatant sponsors of juice box elements and things like that. So it's not going away. That much we do know, and we would be naive to think that. And there will always be ways for folks to dance around what we see. But I would like for there to be some other things that would help out individuals like Sandro Tonali. Specifically for Tonali, I know where Eddie Howe's coming from. I really do. Where he's suffered enough is basically what Eddie Howe is saying. And if you continue to take away his job from him and what he loves from him, then you might make the individual worse. Not the situation, mind you, but you might have him continue to feel worse and worse and worse about his own personal state. And so I understand where Eddie Howe's coming from. I don't think, however, that you can just let it go. I think you're probably going to end up with some kind of a midpoint. You'll end up with a ban. You'll end up with something else that'll roll its way through. And so, like I said, I think that's probably the way it's going to happen. You're going to end up with something on the weekend. By the time we're done, you're going to end up with something with Sandro Tonali where it won't be a full, it might be a half, but you're going to be ending up with another, say, 6 months or something like that as we go. Before we get into gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch and where to watch it. In the Premier League this week, you have some folks that are, chasing after staying out of the relegation zone. Apparently, Nuno said he punched something after recent instances of frustration. And the tape has now apparently come out about the coach that went after the ref. And he called him the C word, and it wasn't the chicken, one of his assistants of Nuno. And Nuno says his first reaction to hearing that Forrest had been docked 4 points was to angrily punch something near to him. And so Nuno actually punched something, apparently. And, you're waiting for the appeal. You're not posting any other extra information in the appeal. And this is what I think is dangerous for Nottingham Forest. It's like, okay, you're already docked 4 points. You're appealing. You can't present any new evidence. And if you lose the appeal, you might end up punishing yourself that much more by appealing the situation that you maybe should have just let lie. I'm thinking that's just me. I mean, that's what I'm staring at. Sean Dyche is baffled why Everton were punished more harshly than Nottingham Forest. So he's wondering why they got the heavy penalty. Forest appealing a 4-point deduction, having been found guilty of overspending by $34.5 million. Everton initially handed a 10 for a breach of 19.5, later reduced to 6. And Sean Dyche, I can't do a Sean Dyche voice. Maybe if it was earlier in the week, I could do a Sean Dyche voice. But Everton has a second hearing related to their last set of accounts, and that was held this week. A ruling is expected next week, so Everton could get the double whammy when it comes to points and everything. So once again, keep an eye at the bottom of the table in the Premier League. You got folks, yes, and Tom, one of our resident Evertonians. Forest apparently had 77% larger violation, yet gets a smaller punishment. Arbitrary and ridiculous.
Correct. But again, we talked about this Wednesday. Like I said, there's certain aspects of the English game that might as well be run by Eric Bischoff. Like, not really joking at this point. Like, it's just kind of dumb.
Yeah, it is.
Because a lot of it feels so like we're spinning the wheel of morality.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I know absolutely what you. It's like it is literally the wheel of arbitrary, and you're really staring at it. It's going to be and Manchester City. I mean, I hate to say it for those of the other 19 clubs. Manchester City is going to continue to kick the can down the road as much as they can. It literally is going to be.
Look, man, there's two forms of law depending on how much money you got.
Mm-hmm. And that second one, the larger one with the larger wallet, is the one that applies to City Football Group. They're going to continue to kick the can down the road, appeal. They're going to have billable hours. They're going to have folks staring at every single line of every single filing from the Premier League. They're going to look for misstatements. They're going to look for misplaced punctuation. They're going to find these things, and they're going to continue to challenge at every possible opportunity. So we'll see Everton round 2 probably within the next 7 days or so. But the big matchup in the Premier League this week, you got folks in the relegation zone trying to get out. Everton and Bournemouth is going on Saturday morning at 11. Chelsea, Burnley, Nottingham Forest, Crystal Palace. That's big at the bottom of the table. Sheffield United and Fulham. Luton at Spurs. Brentford, Manchester United. I'm sure that Drew talks about that in the 3D. Manchester City, Arsenal. That's the big one. Liverpool and Brighton's early Sunday morning. Manchester City, Arsenal's the 11:30. And Manchester City is favored at the Etihad at a -106. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo. Newcastle considering making a £50 million bid for Shakhtar Donetsk winger Mikhailo Mudryk. Mudryk was brought in from Shakhtar for a rather large amount of money. So we'll see what it's worth to Chelsea. England and Borussia Dortmund midfielder Jude Bellingham linked with a move to Liverpool, Real Madrid's top target for next summer's window. Liverpool could move for a swap deal in January with Naby Keita wanted by Dortmund. AC Milan technical director Paolo Maldini says Rafael Leao has been linked with a move to Chelsea, knows his future is with the Serie A club despite complications from a previous transfer affecting negotiations to renew his contract at the San Siro. Chelsea planning to increase the summer offer they made for Denzel Dumfries to €50 million, would be willing to loan him back to the Serie A club at Inter Milan for 6 months if the deal goes through in January. PSV Eindhoven former right back Dumfries' reported interest from Chelsea and Manchester United flatters him, focused on regaining the Serie A title with Inter. Manchester United keeping close tabs on Emi Martinez, as you should. Chelsea, Arsenal, Spurs, and then to looking at the possibility of signing 25-year-old Spain and Villarreal center back Pau Torres. Inter Milan have not made any progress in talks over an extension for Milan Skriniar, whose contract expires next summer, so PSG could make another move in the winter window. Real Madrid plan to bring back Spain winger Brahim Diaz from a loan spell at AC Milan to replace compatriot Marco Asensio when his contract ends next summer. Asensio has already signed a preliminary contract with Barca that'll run for 4 years from next summer. Barcelona and Liverpool interested in swapping forwards with former attacker Memphis Depay heading to Anfield and Bobby Firmino replacing him at the new camp. Liverpool not ruling out a move for Benfica's Enzo Fernandez, a reported €120 million release clause in the contract. Belgium defender Jason Denayer, linked with Wolves in the summer, has joined UAE side Shabab El Ahly for a one-year deal. Sadio Mane's Senegalese compatriot Salif Diao says the 30-year-old Bayern Munich forward pushed for his summer move to Liverpool because he did not have the love that he needed from Jurgen Klopp. Chris Wilder is a leading candidate for the vacant job at Bournemouth, having previously led Sheffield United to promotion. Why would you do that? And then former Norwich midfielder Mark Fotheringham, leaving his role as Hertha Berlin's assistant manager to become the new manager of the championship side at Huddersfield Town. And Huddersfield Town is in a relegation fight in the championship right now as we speak. What to watch today? Fox, the league that we neither condone nor endorse nor promote. They got a match at 2 o'clock. 2 to NA Liga MX at 10. Club America Atletico San Luis. That's your Jurgen Klopp and possibly a Johnny Vial sighting. Univision, same match at 10 o'clock. ESPN Plus, since it is Good Friday, you do have matches that are already going on. Bristol City Leicester, that one's already over. Norwich City Plymouth Argyles at 11. Blackburn Ipswich at 1:30. Watford and Leeds at 4. Ongoing right now, that League 2 match we were talking about, Wrexham, Mansfield Town, that's on the plus. Spanish Segunda, Burgos and Espanyol at 3:20. North Carolina FC and Hartford Athletic on the plus at 7 o'clock. League 1, both matches. Charlotte Spokane, 7:30. Central Valley Madison at 10. Both on ESPN Plus. Fox Soccer Plus has women's Italian Serie A, Inter and Roma. And if you haven't seen Sampdoria and the Della Peruta sisters from Atlanta, the Atlanta area, they are running wild right now with Sampdoria. Very cool stuff there in the feminine Italian Serie A. Golasso Network has the League 1 match with Lex SC and Greenville at 7. NWSL Plus, Orlando and Chicago at 7. Prime has San Diego, Seattle at 9 o'clock in the NWSL. VIX has a doubleheader in Liga MX, Puebla Tigres at 9, Mazatlan and Club Tijuana at 11 o'clock. Very, very busy weekend as we watch. Once again, reminder, 5:30, 7:30, match day 4 for the week here at SDH. SoccerDownHere.mixler.com. And with that, you can keep an eye out for action in Ellijay. White County visiting our friends at Gilmer. So it is White County and Gilmer, 5:30, 7:30 tonight. SoccerDownHere.mixler.com. Jason and I will be up there for that. And like I said, we're bringing barbecue back. So you really can't go wrong for something like that. It's been a fantastic week. We pick it back up on April Fool's Day as the Baylor School comes from Tennessee to take on Johnson Gainesville. Then we are in Sonoraville for the Tuesday night throwdown. Next week, Calhoun and Sonoraville. And then on the 5th, it's a girls-only match at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Wesleyan and Calhoun. I'll be in Calhoun for that one. So that's the end of this week. And next week, Atlanta United. Looking forward to seeing some 17s in the 17 lot. Wearing a couple of different hats on the weekend, so you'll see me out there a lot. Supposed to be in the high 70s. Very, very cool stuff there. Great weather. Roof might be open. Jarrett, last thoughts from you now that the 4th has held up the light board and we are now into added time.
No, we're over time. Bye.
So that's it for Jarrett. Guys, once again, thanks for another fantastic week. It's been great with all the guests that we had, all the different places that we've been, and all the different stories that we've been able to tell. Next week, once again, more high school, more Open Cup, getting you ready for all of that, and getting you ready for another week in the sprint across all the divisions here in the Southeast. So for Jarrett, for Maddie Cruz, for Jason, they're at practice for Atlanta United. I'm just John. Thanks for hanging out with us for another good week of SDH. Mucha Platiel, play it safe. And since it is the end of the show, that means I get to do this. And yes, Abby, 3 points on the board would be very, very good. I think it's 3 goals and 3 points. I think that's what happens. We'll see it on Sunday. We'll see you there Sunday. And we'll also see you back here later this afternoon on the live side for the high school on the Friday night SDH Game of the Week.